I read a quote recently that states, "You were designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness." These words were spoken by motivational speaker, author, and legend, Zig Ziglar. Good evening, and happy Saturday. Wow, I am deeply honored and elated to stand before you today. But before I proceed, I must acknowledge and give praise to the Most High, the Alpha and the Omega, for through him, all things, not some things, but all things are possible. Special thanks to the Big Seven Association for inviting me to connect with each of you this evening for the 26th Annual Scholarship Banquet as they continue their mission of helping one to uplift all. I would also like to acknowledge our distinguished guests, family, friends, and of course, last but not least, the scholarship recipients. Now, I certainly appreciate the reading of my bio by Mr. Brother Mark from Allendale, South Carolina. But I feel compelled to reintroduce myself. So once again, I am Shanna A. Jefferson, mental health therapist, author, talk show host, and agent of change. But more importantly than any of those titles, I stand before you this evening on the final day of Black History Month as just a little black girl from Allendale, South Carolina.
All right.
A black girl who has transcended adversity to achieve success along my journey to greatness. And this evening is certainly a full circle moment for me. For my vision is clear as I stand before you this evening, not just as your keynote speaker, but I stand before you this evening as a beacon of light, a beacon of hope, a beacon of change, and a beacon of greatness. Now, nearly 18 years beyond my days as a student at Allendale Fairfax High School, I understand how the Most High has been working things in my favor all along. So let me share a little more about my story briefly with you. My family, perhaps just as yours, was never fed with a silver spoon. In fact, my mother, Mrs. Nancy Jefferson, who's here this evening, worked as a paraprofessional in the Allendale County School District. And my father, the late, great George M. Jefferson, served his community faithfully as a voice for the voiceless. My father, he was also an educator, spending 32 years of his life educating the students of South Carolina, including 28 years in Allendale County schools. By the time I was born, my father, who was in his mid-50s at the time, and let me add, I'm the oldest of three. Matter of fact, my youngest sister, Jessica, is here this evening as well. My father had already retired, well, at least from his daytime professional job. But my father hustled from essentially sunrise to beyond sunset, going door to door throughout the low country of South Carolina. My father became the tape man, the watermelon man, the peach man, you name it. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about, right? My father did what he had to do to support his family. And certainly with three growing daughters in the home, my father did what he had to do. Upon graduating from Allendale Fairfax High School in 2002, I matriculated to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And since that time, and in spite of my successes, I've certainly endured the trials and tribulations of life. But God, as Romans 12:12 proclaims, rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer. Now, while my story may not be your story, and your story may not be her story, and his story may not be your story, we all have a story. A story that, when told, will inspire and empower all those you are connected to, as well as generations to come. So today, my young brothers and sisters, I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to see beyond your current circumstances. I want to encourage you to push forward and only look back for two reasons. Y'all hear me? One, to see how far you have come. And two, to uplift your brother or sister who may be where you once were. So for this momentous occasion, I've elected to speak on the topic, Unleash Your Greatness. If you have allowed adversaries, adversity, hate, bitterness, or insecurity to overshadow you, then it's time to unleash your greatness. If you have allowed others to project their fears or shortcomings on you, then it's time, my young brothers and sisters, to unleash your greatness. Now let me pause and ask you a question. Who's ever played cards? Any card players in here? I know spades is my favorite game. So raise your hand if you actually have ever played a card game, any point in your life, right? Most of us have. Now, I want you to think of the hand that you were dealt in life. Do you ever want to throw in that hand? Do you ever want to quit the game? No, certainly, you didn't ask for that hand. And no, at times, you didn't want to play that hand. And no, you weren't even in the mood to deal with the uncertainties of life. And truth be told, you could have given up, but you didn't. And in spite of the obstacles that you will encounter in life to come, I want you to always promise yourself that you will play to win. Now, I'll briefly present you with 5 tools to propel you forward as you unleash your greatness in 2020 and beyond. Tool number 1, have faith. As the good word says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I must admit, in my now 35 years of life, there have certainly been days and nights that my faith was tested, but God. The word says all we need is faith the size of a mustard seed. And trust and believe, there are many days, including during my college years, where I felt as if my faith was barely the size of the mustard seed. But I held on. And the word says, if you hold on to that faith the size of a mustard seed, mountains shall move. Faith is what keeps you going. Even in the face of adversity, faith helps you stay resolved, firm in your resolve. Faith is believing that greater will manifest in spite of the adversities and in spite of the uncertainties in life. Faith consists of having an unwavering belief in the success you have envisioned, which leads me to tool number 2, envision your success. Now, Eric Thomas, who's also known as the hip-hop preacher, once said, desire and imagination have the potential to position a person for greatness. So, if you want to unleash your greatness, you must first set your imagination to greatness. And in order to become successful, you must first envision yourself successful. I have a challenge for you. Close your eyes. Close your eyes momentarily. Now, I want you to create the picture in your mind of what success looks like. Envision yourself receiving your college degree. Envision yourself as the CEO of your company. Envision yourself as the owner of your hair salon. Envision yourself as an author. Envision yourself in the boardroom with multi-millionaires. Envision yourself impacting the world. You can open your eyes. And as Kobe Bryant did long before he became one of the greatest basketball players of all times, envision yourself as a champion. Tool number 3, never let a statistic define you. First Lady Michelle Obama once said, "Your experience facing and overcoming adversity is actually one of your greatest advantages." So what are the adversities you're facing? Perhaps you have a parent that is incarcerated, or your neighborhood is riddled with crime, or you may have been diagnosed with a mental or a physical illness, or you may be a girl like me, whose school district was taken over by the South Carolina State Department of Education. But whatever the odds that may be stacked against you, I decree and declare that failure is not your destiny. Now, I recall as a student in high school, someone told me I had 3 strikes against me, y'all. 1, my daddy. 2, my hometown. And 3, my race. Yet, on this day, the 29th day of February, 2020, I stand before you as a proud Black woman who graduated from Allendale Fairfax High School, class of 2002. And my daddy is the one and only George M. Jefferson. So I stand before you this evening as a testament to the power of never, ever, ever, never, ever letting a statistic define you. Instead, you must do just as I did, and First Lady Michelle Obama suggests. You must transcend the adversity of what society says and use it as fuel to propel you towards your greatness. Tool number 4, don't look at rejection as the final destination. A wise person once said, rejection is merely a redirection, a course correction to your destiny. So no, you will not always hear what you want to hear, but that should never stop you from trying. So please don't worry about what your naysayers say. Y'all hear me? This ain't even just for y'all. Don't worry about what your naysayers say, okay? Y'all hear me? Because your naysayers are not connected to your destiny. So instead of seeing no as a bad thing, I want you to take the word apart and look at it for what it really is. N-O simply means new opportunity. Tool number 5, don't be a spectator. Muhammad Ali once said, service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. I've always said that this journey that I'm on is far greater than Shanna. And as long as there's blood running warm through my veins, I'm going to be a voice for the voiceless and an agent of change. Yes. So if you truly want to unleash your greatness, you must be willing to serve. You can't just be a spectator. You must get in the game. Who's ever played a sport? A few? Okay. All right. Do you join the team just to be on the sideline? No. You join the team to get in the game. Now, as a former basketball player at Allendale Fairfax, and actually, I see one of my coaches in here, Coach Pookie, hey! As a former basketball player at AF and a die-hard Tar Heel, I certainly understand that not every player can be in the game at the same time. Nevertheless, everyone has a role to play. So the same is true for this journey we call life. You can't just stand on the sideline while your brother or sister is treated unjustly, or while your brother or sister contemplates a journey riddled with crime. You can't just stand on the sideline. Or while the people to serve us put their own self-interest before the needs of the community. You can't just stand on the sideline. Think Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali will certainly be remembered as one of the greatest athletes of all time. But he was also a key player beyond his boxing profession. Muhammad Ali understood the importance of being an agent of change. So you must get in the game, and you must give 100% at all times, even when the enemy is attacking, even when the darkness of life overshadows the light, you must get in the game. For your decisions have the ability to have a domino effect of change, and you never know who's watching. And more importantly, you never know who you will impact. So now, my young brothers and sisters, I encourage you. I encourage you to take these tools with you at all times. Use them to fight back against your past. Use these tools as you continue to play the hand you were dealt. Use these tools, my young brothers and sisters, to unleash your greatness. And furthermore, don't let another day go by thinking less of yourself. Stay humble, yes, but be you, and be you unapologetically. Because weakness is not in your DNA. Failure is not in your DNA. Self-doubt is not in your DNA. Giving up is not in your DNA. Hopelessness is not in your DNA. Fear is not in your DNA. The only thing that is in your DNA is greatness. And now I charge you, my young brothers and sisters. I charge you as you transcend upon the next leg of your journey of life. The time is now. The time is now for you to unleash your greatness. Love and greatness. Thank you.